music is saying you to the audience, but in a really beautiful way. It's like, you, I love you. Now let me play you some beautiful music. So there's this feeling like they're gonna do whatever they want and assert their own will and not worry about how it's being understood or whatever. Yeah, the wonderful thing about that is that it speaks to people.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. Is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one.
I'm Tim Ellis, and thank you for joining us for Laneway Live. Tonight's guest comes to us live from Sydney, Australia, where he is the National Institute of Dramatic Art's Magic and Illusion Consultant. He also consults on plays including Possum Magic and Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and you may have seen him in shows including Band of Magicians or Mada's Marvels. Please welcome Adam Mada. So Adam.
Hello.
Hello, you are in your warehouse at the moment?
Yes, in the warehouse, in the studio right now.
Wow.
I'm the only one in my little area. It's a little bit quieter here.
So practicing self-isolation?
Yes, well, I'm self-isolating in my sort of mini compound here. It's quite busy over behind me, Odd Studio. I think most of their work's shut down, but they're still working on a bunch of things. Yeah.
Well, I first met you or came across you in a show called The Real Hustle Australia.
Yes, quite many lifetimes ago now.
Yeah, you're working with Nicholas J. Johnson. Was the first time you met him, I assume?
No, Nicholas and I have actually known each other for a very long time because we are both Canberra boys.
Ah,
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. So you worked with Nicholas on The Real Hustle, and then you've also now graduated to you've done a lot of movie work, and also now Harry Potter.
Yes, I've got a little wand from the show here, actually.
So for those who don't know, Adam is the magic and illusion consultant in Australia for the Australian production of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yes, so there's quite a few productions around the world at the moment, which have all closed this week, every single one of them. So you've got London, Broadway, Australia, San Francisco, Hamburg, Germany, and then just announced also is Japan coming up next year. But all productions have now come to an immediate halt.
But I understand they were, for Melbourne, they tried to do a production with socially distanced audience members.
Yeah, look, I think along with everyone over the last, in Australia over the last sort of 7 days, everyone's been scrambling to figure out what they're going to do. So firstly, the government announced a recommendation of under 500 people in an area. But that recommendation within about 24 hours actually turned into a ban, which was then legally enforceable. So I think many productions and function centres that I work with and on. At first, thought, all right, well, how can we restrict our audiences? Will we be okay? I know Sydney Theatre Company and Belvoir Street, because their audiences are about 250, sub 250. There's a particular production on Belvoir Street where they thought they were going to have a boom because they were going to be able to open, but they've also closed as well. So yeah, I think a few days ago there was chatter about how I think they opened up a bit of a can of worms on social media where they were going to change their 1,400 seat capacity at Princess Theatre down to 500. But that clearly wasn't going to work. So yeah, all performances have been suspended.
And so do you think we're doing enough? A lot of other countries have just, like Trump just announced gatherings of 10 as the limit.
Look, I personally don't think we're doing enough. I believe that, to be honest, in Australia, we're an island. So we actually did have the opportunity of really locking it down much earlier. But I think the government is really pussyfooting around. And they're trying to keep the economy going when really we should just, if we're going to close down thousands of industries and hundreds of thousands of people's avenue to work, we may as well just shut the entire country down, lock it right down at least for several weeks, and then look at things down the track. We've actually taken our kids out of school already, and I know that's a contentious thing for a lot of families. But my son goes to a school in Western Sydney, and at his school there are over 1,000 kids, plus staff and teachers. And we're also due to have a baby any day, any hour. I'm waiting for the call now.
I know. How does it feel, a baby in the age of coronavirus?
Well, look, to be honest, a bit of downtime and a bit of a reset switch was what I really needed that anyway. So I think we as a family are going to take advantage of that, and just have a little bit of family time, just push the reset button, and not really panic too much about the fact that my entire business has just vanished. Literally overnight.
Literally. But it is good. I mean, looking on the bright side, it's probably better having the baby now than at the peak of coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, at least at the moment, the hospital we're at, which is RPA in Sydney, there's no cases reported there. The staff is still working. The midwives are still on board. In a month's time, the entire health system may be completely overwhelmed. And
right.
Going into the labour ward would be very challenging at that point.
Yeah. Well, all our thoughts are with you at the moment. If this interview ends, we'll know what's happened. You've had to rush off. You've got a phone call. We'll just get back to Harry Potter for a minute, because I know a lot of the people who are watching this are absolute magic fans. What was it like to work? Because you've been working on the project for like 2 years now, isn't it? Or more than that, perhaps. But what was it like to get involved and use a show that has unlimited budget?
Yeah, I mean, in my career, I've worked in theatre quite a lot. And I guess the significant difference with Harry Potter, which is a play, if people are unaware of the type of show it is, it's a theatrical play. However, it operates more like a large musical would operate. So the producers, the Michael Castle Group of Harry Potter, traditionally run big musicals. It's set up in a similar structure to a large musical would be in terms of company management and departments and that sort of thing. And of course, it has the budget that goes along with a blockbuster musical as well, or a film, or a very large film. So I guess it going from working on sort of national sort of productions and theatre and that sort of thing, jumping onto such a behemoth was quite a challenge to shift into that universe. There's a lot of people involved. I mean, just on the Sydney production alone, there's probably 150 people on the production in the Princess Theatre. We've got a cast of 44. a full creative team, and then outside the Australian production, we have to work very closely with a very large international creative team as well, and production team. So it's a very large, complex production.
But then again, also because it is so big, you were telling me at one stage about how incredible the technology is for some of the magic, like the moment where they just have the brooms come up from the stage into their hands. For magicians, we know like a dozen ways to do that. But when you've got an unlimited budget, you were telling me that the method you've come up with is astonishing.
Yeah, look, so the original magic designer is Jamie Harrison, based in the UK. And the way that the magic department works is I am being the Australian associate means that I'm responsible for all of the magic within our production. But it also means that I've got to work very closely with the international team. So Jamie Harrison has works with Chris Fisher. Chris Fisher is the international associate. So he's across all the magic and illusion with all of the productions around the world. And we work very, very closely together to bring each production in line with each other and to keep a consistent product and that sort of thing. Yeah, with the technology, in theatre in general, when you develop magic, the magic is so hyper specific to that moment, and especially in a production like Harry Potter. There's no magic, illusion, or special effect that is just there for fun. It's not there for the sake of it. Every single effect really drives the narrative, and it's integral to the story and the narrative, which is great for us because it means that every magic moment, there's a lot of value placed on getting it right. So it means that the other departments, from the director to production to movement, at least allow me the time and the value to spend on each moment because they are so important. The trick that you're talking about, the levitating brooms, I don't think there's any way you could have a production of Harry Potter without levitating brooms. Wow. But originally that effect did start off with a very simple kind of mechanism, something that most magicians might be more sort of familiar with. And ultimately it went down the path of being a self-contained system with a lot of R&D invested in creating those brooms. And I mean, you've seen the show, really that R&D, it really does pay off.
It's astonishing. The stuff that I saw in the show. I mean, there's so many moments in the show where you're just going, oh, you know, if only every magic show looked even just a tiny bit as good as the magic in Harry Potter.
Yeah, look, a lot of the effects that you got to see in Melbourne, we were the third incarnation of the production, which meant that by the time we got to work on the show, a lot of those effects, including the brooms and many of the others, had already been through an extensive R&D process. And it means that we're already standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. So we're bringing forth a version of the brooms that's already evolved through 10 different versions. So that's really exciting, and really the show has never stopped evolving. So we've just completed cast change over the last couple of months, and just before the show shut, the cast have been open for a couple of weeks actually, the new cast. Even then, we're tinkering, changing things. We're changing the blocking, the way the actors bring life to the magic. Some of the technology has changed. We've got some new toys to play with. It's just constantly evolving. I mean, working in theatre in general, one of the biggest differences with a standard sort of magic show is that you've got a lot of eyes on it. And you've got a lot of eyes paying very close attention, giving feedback. So when we're in tech or running rehearsals, it won't just be me directing the magical illusion on that particular scene. You'll have the movement director, you'll have the director, you'll have stage management. You'll have a lot of eyes feeding into what they're watching on stage. And having that many eyes giving feedback to the actors, the scene, and then back to me, really means that every tiny little detail is picked up on.
But it's not just the magic for Harry Potter you've been working on. You've also created something quite astonishing recently called Wonder Booth. We're going to have a little quick look at a clip of Wonder Booth.
So that's already a couple of years ago now. I had a brief come through from a client, which simply it was for a wine launch. And the brief was, we want you to turn dirt into wine. The brief was very specific. It was sort of a dream brief where the client knew exactly what they wanted and they weren't going to budge from it. They knew exactly what the branding needed to look like, and they knew that they needed a magician to turn dirt into wine. It was that simple. Often we'll always get briefs, can you do this, or maybe we'll do some magic here, and yada, yada, yada. They had a really, really specific brief. Now, I could have really done that a much simpler way than what I came up with. I mean, a mirror glass comes to mind instantly. There's many very cheap, simple sleight of hand versions. I could simply turn dirt into wine. I'm sure you can all think of 5 right now. Now, in the workshop, which I'll give you a tour in a moment, there's a lot of interesting people that work in here, and one of those people is a puppet maker, Aaron Dosiak. And he, only a month before this brief, came to me with a crazy concept that he wanted to kind of explore with me. It was a bit of a pipe dream, really. And it was all about transmogrification. Look that up, it's a very important word for magicians. So transmogrification, and it was literally, I'll show you the book that it came out of. Actually, I'll just come over here. This book here.
Yes,
John,
we all have that.
I'm sure you've got that in your library. This book is a treasure trove of wonders. It really does have some remarkable things inside it. So the Wonder Booth is based on a principle discussed in this book. It's also based on a principle called Girl to Gorilla. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah. Now, I could hear some dinging going on, but you do have Wonder Booth version 2, apparently.
Yes, Wonder Booth version 2. So, look, effectively, version 1 we built and tested many late nights in the warehouse. Cost a lot of money to build, way more than what was appropriate for this particular client brief, but it was worth it in the end. So the original Wonder Booth literally operated on 19th century clockwork. So we're talking handmade wooden gears, probably 50, 60 different moving parts. And all of these parts needed to operate in a sequential momentum. And if one of those were out, it wouldn't work. It's very heavy, difficult to move. It was basically a nightmare. So I only recently had it rebuilt on the insides using 3D printing technology and some really interesting sort of computer code in there that allows for some really, really stuff.
Are we going to have a look at it?
All right, let's have a little look. We've actually got the printer right now building a little part for the machine.
So you're using your isolated time very well.
Oh, yes. So this is our Wonder Booth here. Now I'm going to have to operate it and turn this at the same time. So we can see there's nothing inside. So that is just an empty chamber. I might just turn my camera around again. There we go. So we've got an empty chamber in here. And we're going to make a cup just appear. Okay, so if you're watching closely, here we go. There we go.
It looks so good.
That's a real cup. I'm going to grab that cup, just like so. That's an actual physical cup.
Not 3D
so,
printed.
No, not 3D printed. What we'll do is we'll take a coffee pod, place it in the cup. Just going to turn a light on here so you guys can see. There we go. All right, beautiful. So we'll take the cup, place it inside. Right. So that's just a cup right there. All right, here we go. So what we'll do is we'll add a couple of coffee pots to that. Here we go. Oh. So there we go. We've got one in there. We're just going to change that to multiple ones again. Here we go. There we go. You can see there's multiple coffee pots in there. We'll turn that into coffee. Here we go.
Amazing.
That's
amazing.
Real, actual coffee. So we'll make that vanish. A vanish always looks pretty nice. Let's go here. Let's configure a bit of a vanish here. Down here. Let's try. Okay, so we can do a lot more than just change drinks. We'll go here, we'll just do a vanish. Gone. Absolutely gone.
That's fantastic.
That's, so what we'll try something even more interesting here. Okay. All right, so we've got half a tennis ball, which my dog ate. I'm just going to place it in this cup just so it can balance properly. I'm going to place half the tennis ball inside. Just like this. Perfect. Now, if you watch closely, you'll actually see the top of that tennis ball form on to form a full tennis ball. Are you ready? Here we go. Done.
It's amazing.
Tennis ball is now completely formed. And I'll take it out and show you.
Incredible. Well, I look forward to seeing the evolution of Wonder Booth and all the different things you can do with that. But thank you for joining us here. There's so many other things I'd love to chat to you about, like about NIDA, about India, when you travel to India, your mentorship of cardistry, all the stuff that's happening in the Sydney scene. But we're going to have to wrap it up. So before we go, any recommendations for things that people could do while they're passing the time?
Look, I think spend some time with family, have some downtime with family. And one thing that I'm looking at doing is I've got a whole stack of books here I need to catch up on. One in particular is going to be this one.
Ah, yes. Excellent.
Yeah, so very hard book to find, all about special effects in cinema. But I think I need to really focus on books at the moment because social media is starting to do my head in. It's getting a little bit too full on. I'm just going to have some screen-free time and sit down with a couple of books, I think.
Except, of course, for Laneway Live. You have to watch this every night and just keep up with all the things that are going on all around the world with magicians.
Absolutely. And look, before I go, do you want to do a quick tour?
All right, quickly. Yeah. What have you got? Let's have a look.
Okay, I'm going to turn the. Come with me. So this is my space in there. Just going to turn the camera around here. This is Odd Studio. These guys make the aliens for Alien and so on. I've got a floating cup in the wall here. Got Adam Hill, Aboriginal artist, in here. Come down to our rehearsal space. Got some dinosaurs over here. So I'm actually, I've been working on directing quite a few people's shows and acts and performances and so on. So hopefully I'm going to release a bit of a package for people who want to come in here and work on their shows.
Well, we'll definitely try and add a link to that if you have. We'll put the link down at the bottom of the description of this video so people can get in contact with you.
We've got all the dinosaurs going into storage. We've got quite an extensive rehearsal space here. As you can see, about 15 by 15 meters, which is great.
Amazing. It's so good to get to see into the lives of other magicians.
This one was Mary Din. It's a very famous puppet that was rolled out at the Vivid Sydney last couple of years, which has been cancelled.
As has almost everything. But as you said, we have the time to sit back in our studios and create. We don't have the money to pay, but hopefully through the support of either the government, if they get their act together, or maybe just the public and their generosity, we can somehow survive.
Absolutely. So I think to any young magician out there, I recommend get off YouTube, get off social media, pick up an old book, because the absolute treasures you can find in some of these old books, it's just unbelievable.
All the stuff that we never had time for normally.
Well, exactly. So I've got a stack I need to catch up on.
Well, thank you. I'm going to leave you to catch up on your books and specifically stand by the phone because that baby could arrive any minute. So well done. Congratulations. Thank you for talking with us.
Right. And good luck to everyone out there.
See you. Bye.
Cheers.